Okay then, in this video we'll cover interacting with vector layer features. As you know, we can interact with vector layers in Openlayers, like show additional information. For instance, you can click into the point and then pop-up window will appear which displays additional information about the point. The same applies to polygons or polylines. All right, so whenever you click onto a polygon, it can display additional information, but in our case it hasn't been implemented. Let's implement this one in this video. So let's go to index.html and maybe just main.js. First of all, let's start with the main.js. Let's scroll down till the very end, and after this view counter is GeoJSON. Let's implement that logic. So I will create first of all comment, and I'll say vector feature pop-up logic. All right, so then what we need here is map on click event. All right, so first of all we need to detect feature. So for that we need click event. So whenever there is a click, it triggers this function. And for now, let's print out this e within this function, this one. Let's print out this one. So now if I click into any part of the map, it just prints out that event. All right, so before we have used this coordinate, right, but it also provides you with the pixel information. That's a pixel on your screen. All right, and we can use that one to detect feature. So I mean, if you go to Openlayers, and in the search box if you type oil map, so that's a main map class, and if you scroll down, there is a function, method called for each feature at pixel, which detects feature, which is used for detecting features. And here you need to specify pixel for your screen. All right, and then it will provide you with the callback function, and that callback function accepts two arguments. So the first one is feature and the second one is layer. All right, so we can use that one to detect feature. All right, so let's use that one. Here we'll say map for each feature at pixel, and remember we can access pixel by saying e.pixel, and then here we need to define callback function, and that callback function accepts two arguments, so feature and layer. All right, so then for now let's just print out feature. So what it does is just whenever there is a click onto the feature, it prints out that feature. So but if you click outside feature, so it doesn't. Right, so let's check. Maybe we need to center at Europe. So here if I click into this one, it should print out that appropriate feature. So in this case, Germany. So this one is Germany, as you can read in here. All right, so if I click into point, then it prints out that appropriate feature, Prague. All right, so this one is Vienna. But if I click outside feature in here, so let me close this one. So if I click into any other parts, it's not printing out. But if I click onto the feature, it prints out, because we are using for each feature at pixel. All right, so now we have access to the feature. So now we can get available data within the feature. All right, so for instance, I can say get keys, just to get all the available keys within the feature. So let's go to Europe again. So if I click into this one, it just prints out available keys. So geometry, name, additional info. So I can use name and additional info to print, just to overlay. All right, so because we need a pop-up. So in my pop-up, I can use this name and additional info. So I can get name and additional info by saying dot get, and in the string I need to specify name. That's gonna be the first one, and I'll store it in a variable, and I'll call the variable clicked feature name. So let, and in here I will say clicked feature name. All right, like this. So that's gonna be for the name, and then the second one will be feature additional info. So addition info. All right, so in here I will say, instead of name, addition info. Hopefully I have spelled them correctly. So let's check. So this one for the clicked feature name, and this one is for the additional info. Now it should print out both of them whenever there is a click on top of the feature. So yeah, oops, this one is undefined. Yeah, I think I have misspelled. I think it's additional. That's a good idea to check once you implement something. Check. So now it's correct. So Vienna, capital of Austria. Okay, now we're fine. So now what we need here is we need to specify overlay, all right? Because we would like to have a pop-up. So for the pop-up, we usually use in Openlayers an overlay. So if you go to ol.overlay, I'll show that one first in the official documentation. So this overlay is used to display some additional information over your map, right? So, and it's attached to a single map location, and you need to define that location by saying set position. First of all, you need to define your overlay, and then within the overlay you need to specify element. That element is your element within your HTML. All right, so then you need to specify position. All right, so then you need to add it to your map. So this element is overlay element, HTML element. So let's create that HTML element because we don't have that HTML element yet. It doesn't need to be within this grid container, so that's why outside this grid container I'll create first of all div container for the overlay, and I'll call it overlay container, right? Container, like this. So then afterwards I will create two spans, one for the feature name and the other one is for the additional information. So I'll say span and then here class, then so I should give them the same class because I will use then this class to style my spans. So I will say here feature then name, like this. All right, so and then afterwards I need br just to have a line. So then instead of this feature name in here I will say feature additional info, like this. All right, so very good. Now we have created our overlay container. Now we need to access them in our JavaScript. So right below, right above this map on click, I will access first of all overlay container element. So I will name it exactly in the same way, overlay container element, then document, then query selector. So then afterwards here I need to specify the class for the query selector, so this one, overlay container. All right, so like this. Very good. Now we need to create an overlay itself. So we'll say const overlay layer, then new ol overlay, like this. So within this overlay we need to specify element that I have shown you. The overlay, so in my case it's gonna be overlay. I'll just copy it and paste it, overlay container element. So now we need to specify position, but we don't want to we don't know that position yet, right? Because we want a position of the click. So that's why we don't specify that set position in here. Instead here we just add it into a map, right? So like this, overlay layer, this one. Yeah. So now let's get, so now we have added our overlay into our map. Let's get those two spans to the JavaScript. So right after this add overlay, I will say const, then overlay feature name, like this. Right, then document get element by ID, and here we need to specify feature name. So the second one will be overlay feature additional information. So I'll say overlay feature addition info, like this. All right, so now I'll just copy this one this time, like this. Okay, now we have them in our JavaScript. So now first of all, we need to specify position, right? And we'll do it right in here. So we'll say, first of all, let click it coordinate, because we need to get the coordinate, right? So, and remember, we can get the coordinates by saying e.coordinate for the click it place, right? So now what we need to do is we need to specify position. We can specify it in here. So I will say overlay, so this one, overlay layer, and then set position, and that position is gonna be click it coordinate, this one. Okay, now we have set position for our overlay. All right, so now what we need is we need to change the content of these spans. So, and it's very easy. So we can say inner.html to change the content of the element, HTML element. So in here, for the feature name, I will use this one, click it feature name, right? So the second one is gonna be this one. And in the same manner, I will say inner HTML, then this one, right? Like this. Very good. So now let's check, and hopefully it should just overlay additional information on top of the feature. So now, yes, so this one is Germany. So if I click to this one, then it's Vienna, capital of Austria. If I click to this one, it's Prague. All right. So if I click to this one, Czech Republic. Okay, that works. But if I click into other places, that means outside features. So it's not disappearing, because we want that to disappear, right? We don't want that just to be always visible. So how can I get rid of that one? So, well, it's very easy. So first of all, whenever there is a click, we should say in here. So instead, so here overlay, this one, we should just say this one, overlay layer, and then set position. And then here we should say undefined. So that means whenever there is a click on any part of the map, first of all, it just sets a position undefined. All right. And then if there is a feature, it sets a position, right? Because if there is any feature, we want that feature to display, and we want that coordinate. So okay, so let's go and check. Here, if I click here Germany, this one is Vienna, but if I click outside, it disappears. That's really good. That's what we want. Okay, one more thing we can do in here is we can specify layer filter, which helps us to filter out other additional filters. For instance, assuming you have several vector layers, right? And you want this logic to be available only to certain layers. So you can, in that case, you can use that layer filter. So I can show that one. So if you go to for each feature at pixel, here you have layer filter. All right, so that's a layer filter function. So this one just is used to filter out. All right, to filter out layers which you don't want. All right, so in here, so right after this one, I can say in here layer filter like this, then it accepts function, and then within the function I need to specify layer. So these are just all the layers. I'll say layer candidate like this. Then in here, so we need to return the layer which we are interested in. So in here I will say all the layers. From all the layers, I'll say get title, and if the title equals, not in here, if the title equals to this one, so this one, then return that one. All right, so just it returns from all the layers, it returns only the one with the title of EU countries JSON. All right, so now if you have additional layers, it doesn't work. So it works only for this one, EU countries JSON. If you have more than once, then you need to return them as well. All right, so it's pretty easy. So now if you click, it works, no problem. So what we can do here is just a little bit of styling. So let's do a little bit of styling. So we will say here, let's create a comment, and I'll say feature overlay, like this. All right, and then for the overlay container, so if you remember, we have here overlay container. All right, and we can access it by saying dot overlay container, and then just let's do very basic styling. So maybe we can change the background color to darkish one, 555. Then width, we can make it maybe 150 pixels. So then color, let's make it white. So definitely text align, we want them to be centered. So center, like this. And then maybe border radius, we can, this one, border radius. So we can set border radius maybe just a little bit, 1 pixel. So then we can do padding. So 2 pixels and 0. So, and the position we want absolute. Then z index, we can set it to 0, 1. Bottom 100. So then left 50%. Margin left, so margin left. You can style it however you want. All right, so this is not just something you should follow. So all right, so now let's do for the feature additional info. So maybe just overlay container, and then so I want arrow, so additional info. So then after, so content, we want that to be, then position, it's gonna be absolute. So then top 100% and left 50%. So then some margin on the left, margin left, and -10 pixels. Then border width 10 pixels. So border style, the border style we want solid. So and then border color, I think this should do just border color, and we can make it 555 transparent 3 times. All right, so that's a basic styling for our overlay. All right, so let's check this one. Now we have this one, overlay container in black, and the color of the text is white, and we have here an arrow. All right, so now if you click into this one, it's Prague, capital of Czech Republic. This one is Vienna, capital of Austria. If you click onto the border, this one is Austria, EU country. If you click to this one is Czech Republic, EU country. If I click outside map, outside features, so it disappears. All right, that's what we want. And here we have a base map layer. So if I click to this one, then we should get humanitarian. So if I click to this one, we should get Stamen. And that's it for this video and for this tutorial. So if you want to learn more about Openlayers, please check out my Udemy course. So we have covered in this tutorial basics of Openlayers, but there are tons of other additional features. All right, so in the Udemy course we cover everything in detail. So if you are interested more, so if you want to learn more about Openlayers, definitely check out my Udemy course, and you can find the link to the Udemy course in the description with the discount. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next tutorials.